Amazing story tonight. Is he the young man who could someday find a cure for cancer? A child prodigy from Maryland, 15-year-old Jack Andraka has been honored for his work on cancer detection.
15 years old, you heard that right. Our Jude LaCava met Andraka recently, learned more about the teenager, who some say has a beautiful young mind. I think you think that, Jude.
I certainly do. You know, this is the last thing you want to hear your oncologist tell you. You have stage 4 pancreatic cancer. That was the diagnosis for my wife's best friend, and you should know the survival rate for stage 4, less than 1% survive beyond 5 years. But what if a young researcher by the name of Jack Andraka would delve into this problem? He decided to, and he looked at this horrible illness in a very different way. What if you could diagnose pancreatic cancer well before it ever becomes a tumor?
I actually first became interested in pancreatic cancer because a close family friend who was like an uncle to me passed from the disease.
We sat down with Jack Andraka while he attended this year's Intel Science and Engineering Fair in Phoenix.
In the category of medicine and health sciences,
this was Jack last year in Pittsburgh, when he was named the Gordon E. Moore Award winner for his work developing a new test for pancreatic cancer. The prize included $75,000 and a trip to the White House.
What was it like to visit Obama?
It was pretty intense. I mean, like, there he is, and then I got a shout out during his White House Science Fair talk. I'm like, wow.
So how does his test work?
Essentially what happens is you take this antibody and you weave it into this network of carbon nanotubes. So you have a network that only reacts with one specific protein.
More simply put, Andraka developed a very simple cancer screening test. Using a drop of blood and a small strip of test paper, a doctor can identify if a patient has mesothelin in his or her system. Mesothelin is a pancreatic cancer biomarker.
So essentially what you're looking at is a simple blood test, almost like a diabetes test, that can alert a person at risk that mesothelin could be signaling the coming of pancreatic cancer.
Well, it's not just people at risk. So for example, this could be used at your local doctor's checkup. So for example, when you go into a doctor, anyone, they could get it tested. It's like a diabetic test strip. You just prick a finger and you can tell in 5 minutes whether you have pancreatic, ovarian, or lung cancer.
His simple test was anything but simple to develop. After writing up his proposal, Andraka set it out to more than 200 labs.
I sent out 200 different emails to National Institutes of Health and the Johns Hopkins University, and I got 199 rejections.
But one lab, Johns Hopkins University, said yes.
I got into a lab at Johns Hopkins University with Dr. Andraka, my HR, and I just started cranking this out, and 7 months later I had one small paper sensor.
How Andraka's cancer screening test works will soon be published as open-source research, so it can be shared with others.
I have a non-disclosure agreement on it with Quest Diagnostics and LabCorp, and I'm trying to get it onto the market as soon as possible with them.
It's almost like delivering a death sentence, because there's no, the early detection was not there.
An early test for pancreatic cancer was not available for Drew Rothy's wife, Dee Dee. She was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer at 47. Died about 1 year later.
At first I didn't believe it at all, and then a couple days later it finally hit me, and that was one of the tougher moments in my life.
We sat down with Dee Dee's husband Drew and son Kevin. When they heard her diagnosis, the news was beyond devastating, especially once they learned more about stage 4 pancreatic cancer.
You're in shock. You're really working in a state of disbelief in those first couple of weeks, first couple of months even.
You think you have no chance at all. You have no hope.
You look online and everything is just horrible. There's no really hope at all.
The 5-year survival rate for pancreatic cancer is less than 5% with stage 4, meaning the cancer had already spread to other organs. The average life expectancy is only 3 to 6 months.
Dee Dee did a phenomenal job at fighting this deadly disease. She was given an initial prognosis 3 to 6 months. She doubled that. She lived 13 months with the disease.
The Wathys can only wonder what an early detection test like the one invented by Jack Andraka could have done for Dee Dee.
With the ability to be able to detect it in the early stages without it having metastasized is the key to beating this deadly disease.
Once it gets to that point, you need to just kind of accept it and enjoy your final days, months, or years with your loved one.
It's definitely been hectic and it's changed my life, but it's really, really fun. I love meeting all these amazing people.
Since his breakthrough in cancer screening, all the attention Jack has received, makes a normal teenage life almost impossible.
I'm never in school anymore. Like for the first month, people thought I had dropped out. I wasn't in school that often.
But he says it's all worth it because his test can help save lives.
My sensor could actually detect it before stage 1, when someone has close to 100% chance of survival. So that's the future, being able to detect it even before it's happening.
And he's confident the day will come when the next big breakthroughs arrive.
Like a cure for cancer or something like that has always been kind of like 5 to 10 years out. And like, it's really depressing almost at some points, but I know that there's great science going on and we're going to be able to get this like magic bullet kind of. And it won't necessarily be a magic bullet. It might be several bullets that will bring down cancer.
Now here's the kicker here. With all the talk about medical costs today and the change in health care, the test strips Andraka invented cost only 3 cents. I repeat, 3 cents to make. They're said to be 90% accurate with this testing procedure. Andraka says if you just change the protein, you can use it to test other cancers. Jack's father, Steve, told me 2 national labs are hoping to get Jack's invention to oncologists within the next 3 years. The biomarker science community will tell you there is promise in this science, but an enormous amount of validation is needed to accurately predict the connection to specific biomarkers and the cancer that may be coming.
Is that amazing?
How about, getting a 15-year-old on the case of this disease? Yeah, pancreatic cancer, you hear, you get that diagnosis, it's over.
Sentence, yeah.
It's done.
Yeah, it's great because it shows you that unconventional thinking of a 15-year-old can lead to a breakthrough. Great story, Jude.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thanks for doing that. Defeat for the